In this video, I will show you how to build and run Doom on Darling. Darling is a translation layer that lets you run macOS applications almost natively on Linux. It works good enough for console applications that run inside the terminal. But if you instead want to run a macOS GUI application, you will have a very hard time finding one that actually works. It is the same with games that render something outside of the terminal. The actual question is, can games work at all at the state where Darling is right now? The answer is yes. So without further ado, let's play Doom on Darling. I'm here inside WSL on Windows. Now I will run the Darling shell. I'm inside Darling, and now let's run classic Doom. And here it is, Doom running on Darling. There is no sound, but the video is working. Let's find some enemies. Looks like I'm not too good at Doom. Let's quit. Yes. So this was a macOS port of Doom running on Darling in WSL. The Darling compatibility layer can be installed on basically any Linux distribution as well as WSL. In a previous video, I showed you how you can install Darling on Linux from scratch. So if you want to run macOS applications on Linux yourself, then you can check out the link to the video up there or down in the description. Now, did Doom work out of the box? Not really. This particular Doom port uses the SDL2 library to render on the screen. And that's basically all it needs to handle inputs and outputs. SDL is supported on all major platforms, and on macOS, you install it using Homebrew. On Darling, which should work as macOS, Homebrew sometimes works. Usually it doesn't. The best way how to install libraries on Darling is to build them from source, and that's what I did with SDL. This is the official SDL library GitHub page. Let's get this one and build it from source. The latest release at the time of recording is 2.30, and the branch with the source files is also called release 2.30. Let's get this one. Here is the Git link, copy it. You don't need to use Git, by the way. You can also download the zip with the source files, but I will use Git. Let's get over to Darling. Now here, the best would be to exit Darling. Now I'm back in WSL. And here let's do git clone -b release -2.30, and let's copy the GitHub link, right click, and clone, enter. Download complete. Now let's go inside. Now we need to configure and build SDL. If you're not sure how to do it, it's best to check out what Homebrew is doing. So let's see. This is the Homebrew website, and let's search for SDL2, that's the one. This is the command to install SDL using Homebrew, but we are interested in the formula code. Here is the link. And now here, search for install. We will ignore autogen, and the next thing that we need to do is to call the configure script with some arguments. In case of macOS, these are enable HID API and without X. And after configure, we need to call make install. So let's go back to the console and clear it. Go back inside the Darling shell. So we need to call configure and the arguments enable HID API and without X. Now before we execute that, there is one additional thing that we need to add explicitly on Darling, and that's ldflags equals framework appkit. On macOS, appkit is usually added implicitly, but here on Darling, you have to be explicit. Let's execute, enter. Now this can take some time. Perfect, SDL project is now configured. And now let's do make install. And just to speed it up a bit, let's add -j4 and enter build. Build failed because the linker cannot find a few symbols. So there are 12 symbols which the linker cannot find, and those should be inside the libraries that we included. The problem is that some symbols are still not implemented on Darling. Since those are just a few symbols, we can simply try to remove them from the source code and hope that nothing will break. Now let's go over to Visual Studio and let's see what the changes are. I am now here in Visual Studio and I already changed the files. It were only 4 files that I had to change, those 4 here. If I compare this with the original, so what I did, I just searched for the symbol name, for instance, audio queue and queue buffer, and in this case just deleted the line out of the code. This was the case here and here. In this case, I deleted the entire for loop, and also I deleted this line here as well. Then for the next file, the problem was with the MTL vertex descriptor. The type was not found, so I had to delete all occurrences. As you can see, the whole section here, and so on. So I did this for all the missing symbols, and hopefully none of them is so important that everything breaks if it's missing. This here is an interesting one. So display mode get pixel width is defined, but not the height. I would assume that those two go together, but in this case, height is missing, and my fix is to just replace it with width. Again, hopefully it's not too important. So those were my changes. Now let's get back to Darling. Let's do make clean, and let's build again. Make install, enter. Perfect, build completed. Now with SDL2 installed, the only additional package Doom needs is SDL2 Mixer, which is like an SDL extension for audio mixing. So we will need to install this one as well. And since audio doesn't work anyway, I will just briefly go through it. This is the SDL Mixer GitHub page. The latest release is 2.8. So let's find the branch, release 2.8. Copy the Git link, here it is, and back to Darling. Let's again exit Darling. Now we are back in WSL, and let's do git clone -b, the name of the branch, release 2.8, and paste in the Git link, right click, enter and clone. Download complete, let's go inside, and let's run Darling shell again. Now let's check on Homebrew how to configure the SDL2 mixer. Here is the link. So we need to call configure with many options and then just make install. So let's do it. I will copy all the options back to Darling, configure, and let's format all the options. This is it. Execute. Configuration completed. And finally, make install, execute. Perfect, everything is installed. We have all dependencies. Now let's see how to build Doom. This is the Doom port that I will use. So let's get the source, copy git link, and back to the terminal. Here I am in WSL, and let's do git clone and paste in the git link, enter clone. Download complete, let's go inside. And let's run Darling shell. Let's see what we have here. We have a build Nix script. Let's see what's inside. So to build this, we have to go inside the source directory, call make clean, and just call make. So let's do it. I will copy the build part and right click paste and enter build. Perfect, build completed. Let's clear the terminal. Now, in order to run Doom, you will need to get the game data, the WAD file. The WAD file contains all the levels, all the characters, and all animations. You can find the link to the Doom demo version WAD file down in the description. Or, if you have purchased Doom on Steam, there you can get the original game data. So I will get mine from Steam. Here is my Doom 3 BFG edition from Steam. Inside here, go to Base and WADs, and here you can find 3 WAD files. I will go with the first one, Doom Classic. So let's copy that. And I will go to my Doom source directory, sdl2 doom src, and just paste the WAD file in here. Paste. Here it is. And now let's run Doom. sdl2 doom run. And here it is. If you like my videos and also want to support me, I also have a Patreon page. I really appreciate all the support I get, and it's because of your support that I can make videos like this one. So thank you very much, and the link to Patreon is up there or down in the description. Now this particular Doom port is now built and works only on macOS. If you instead want to play a platform-independent version of Doom, then I have good news for you. In a previous video, I showed you how you can build, play, and debug a platform-independent version of Doom written in C#. So if you want to build and play a cross-platform version of Doom yourself, then you can check out the link to the video up there or down in the description. And that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, then like and subscribe. And if you really like the video, down there is a super thanks. So you can buy me a coffee, for instance, so I can make more of those awesome videos. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.